Yep, you better believe it. I've spent 400 great British pounds on a faulty PlayStation 5 Pro console. And you know what the best part about this whole thing is? This is the first one I've ever laid my hands on. How different is it going to be from the original PS5 console to the slim versions, the digital to the disc? Who knows? But my curious brain could not help but press the buy button. Am I concerned about the eBay listing? Absolutely. So this is what we're working with, right? The factory reset was done correctly, but for some reason it will now only boot and turns itself off. That's all. Blue light comes on for about 2 seconds, then goes off. That's it. I've tried all the different checks, such as different power cables, HDMI cables, unplugging and replugging in the machine, etc. That's not massively what I'm concerned about this listing. This is customer returned the console without accessories. It turns on and there is a picture on the screen, but shortly after that it turns itself off. The console was a gift for my wedding, has never been opened or tampered with, no water damage. Only the console is for sale and there's no accessories with it. So customer returned the console without accessories, but the console was a gift for my wedding. Which one's it gonna be? Now this seller does unfortunately have also some negative feedback, but it's only one piece of negative feedback compared to the 33 positive, and his rating is like 92.7%. Let's take a look and see exactly what's going on with this console. What I will go ahead and mention is that sold PS5 Pro consoles are going for a minimum of around about £500 or so. Therefore, if I can get this working, we are looking at a nice profit. Just a quick mention to people who are regular viewers of the channel, this will not count towards profit or loss. This is an individual item on its own because it's the first one of its kind on my channel anyway. The model number on this bad boy is actually CFI 7021. Now, I've seen a couple of videos, I believe Tronics Fix had a look at a PS5 Pro, and they're very, very similar to the slim models in terms of the board size and everything else. I'm really interested to see if we're going to have a slim model Southbridge and SSD controller for that matter. First of all, though, let me just verify the issue. Let me take off the panels, this one, and confirm it's not actually been opened before with the warranty. Okay, well, so I've literally just opened this up, as you've seen on the video, and this warranty sticker is void. You see that? It's been peeled back. I'll include the eBay number as well, just in case. But where they've said customer return without accessories, and it says here, the console was a gift for my wedding, has never been opened or tampered with, is just a complete and utter bread and butter lie, because the warranty sticker has been removed. Before I kind of weigh up what it is that I want to do with this, I'm just going to reach out to the seller and say to them, hey, you've stated in your listing that this console has never been tampered with. However, the warranty sticker has been taken off and it's voided, which would then indicate to me that somebody's been inside the console and has tried to fix it before. Can you please confirm some more backlog of the story? It's a shame because I thought, as stated, that it hadn't been opened before. Whilst I'm here as well, I'm just going to log this for the sake of everything good and glorious, right? If I just zoom in quickly. So the back condition of the PlayStation 5, we have this crustacean stuff here. Now it does state again specifically on the listing that there is no water damage, but I mean, even just looking at that, I'm not too sure. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if you can tell, but you probably can't see it from this angle at all. It does look to go into where the power supply is on the back, but that's fine. Again, I bought the console as faulty, so I can necessarily deal with that. There is some more of that here, this like weird residue at the front. So if I wipe this, you can see how it wipes away. So it's a little bit strange. We've obviously got some finger marks and other things on the chassis of this console. Now, if I go over to the microscope as well, hopefully you can see that. I mean, that screw is not like a factory screw. That's been worn by something, obviously a driver or something along those lines. Same with this one down here. Like, that is not a factory screw. That has been definitely taken out and at least opened before. I've simply just gone and said, hey there, received the PS5 quickly, so thank you for that. It does state in the listing that the console hasn't been opened before or tampered with, but the warranty sticker on the inside has been broken. Could you please explain a little bit more about the console and the history? I've also just attached a picture of the warranty sticker itself. So I'll probably have to put a pause on this one for the time being because I'm in two minds what to do, because the content itself for a PS5 Pro will be really, really nice, but then I don't want to get scammed. So there's that as well. And I actually have a response which was actually pretty quick. So they got back to me and said, hi, I'm sorry, I have no idea, as it was a wedding gift. At this point, I actually just raised a refund request. I thought, I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to touch it any further. I just want the £400 back. To which that prompted another response from this person saying, I can see that you've opened a case against me. I wonder, to avoid you returning and losing more money in returns and further postage, might I perhaps suggest a partial refund of £30, then you keep the console as it is. Can you please let me know? I went back and said, thank you. Looking on eBay, I can see faulty ones that are in much better condition with the box and accessories, also stating they haven't been opened and sold for around about £330. I'd happily accept a refund of £70 if you're willing to do that. So I'm now just waiting to see what happens. Don't forget, I think the thing that's riled me up the most is that they've said that a customer returned it, but it was also a wedding gift, and they've backed completely that it's a wedding gift because they confirmed that in the message as well. But on the listing, it says customer returned. And judging by the look of the back of this console and the fact we might have some water damage which is kind of crept in, and they've said that there's no water damage, that's why I've gone for a £70 return partial refund, which would then bring our total cost to what, £330. In which case, if I list everything properly on this, if I am unable to fix it back onto eBay, or I might keep it for parts, I'm unsure yet, I think I'll be able to probably get around that for somebody to buy the machine for parts perhaps, plus whatever money will be generated from this specific video. Let's see what they come back with. Do you think what I'm asking for is fair? Let me know in the comment section down below, but I'm actually quite interested to see what it is that they come back with. It's been about 10 seconds after I hit the stop recording button, and they've responded. They said, would you be able to find it in your heart to accept 50? It's all I got in my name. I hope this is okay. And I said, okay, I'll take 50. Thank you for getting back to me so quickly. Total cost actually is £350 for this PS5 Pro, and it means that we get the content to be able to go into the device, check it out, and see actually how much they have potentially tampered with this. Or it might not be them. They've doubled down here and said that it is a wedding gift, so maybe somebody bought it and then tampered with it and then gave it to them. I don't know, but I'm about to get my investigation hat on. The money has officially been refunded into my eBay account, so let's crack on and actually give this a test now. I'm gonna just take the warranty sticker off and say, see you later. And then what I'm gonna do is plug it in and see what happens. I heard a crackle. Let's give this thing power. 3, 2, 1. Oh, wait a minute. Blue light. Fan spin. Blue light. Dead. Okay, let me try again. We get a beep as well. We get the same thing. Beep on and then off. And that's like a 2 second, if not 1 second. So I'd go ahead and say that that was pretty accurate when it comes to description in terms of, you know, it turns on and then it turns off. Now, I have to take this apart, and this is the first time I'm taking a PS5 Pro apart. So I need to map the screws carefully. And for that, we use white tack. This is interesting. I don't know what's under here. Take off the SD cover first. That's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't need to map that. I'm going to hazard a guess and say all of the screws for the fan, etc. are pretty much identical. Let me just see, because if so, again, I won't need to map those yet. I think they are. Those two are. That one is the same, and so is that one. Okay, cool. So I don't need to map those. I'm too curious to see what's under here. Oh, the battery. Okay, yeah, that doesn't need mapping either. All right, interesting. Okay, that looks like all the screws, but that's not coming out. I wonder if there's screws under here. Yeah, there is. Okay. All right. I think that's it screw-wise. I could be entirely wrong, and there might be some hidden contraption. Lift this up. That's really cool. I like that fan. Nice. And then lift off. Yeah, okay. Very much like the Slim then. Extremely like the Slim. We got the heatsink here. Oh, does that just pull out, does it? The battery. Nice. Okay, the battery simply just pulls out. Put that over there. Antenna wires, unclip those bad boys. This sticker here has been ripped before. So again, someone has clearly been deep into this console, not just like surface level. They've taken that off. And I can see some like grub marks all over here. Does this just like pull off? It does. Hold on. If this is anything like, I can't even remember if the Slim does have this, but I'm pretty sure it's not. This is thermal paste. This is not the thermal putty that I think is meant to come with the Pro. Again, this is caveating as long as it is pretty much identical to the Slim. Yeah, look, that's thermal paste. Why have they put thermal paste there? Okay, all right. I hope this console still has liquid metal, is what I'm gonna say. Got the same long silver screw down the bottom here. So yeah, it's pretty much identical to the Slim. Now, I don't know what pads are going to be UART here, but it doesn't look like UART has been used, which is good. Basically meaning I might be able to diagnose this because it's a beep on, beep off using a tool. But firstly, I need to inspect the board, because if any work has been done to this, I need to kind of just trace the steps back to see what's happened. Okay, and how do we look? Oh, okay. All right. Oh, no. Okay, so why am I saying, oh, no? This blue thermal putty that you see here is meant to be on this power rail, I'm pretty sure. And the same with a bunch of other chips. The SSD controller, as we can see here, has thermal paste rather than the thermal putty. So I think so far it kind of looks like somebody went to replace all of this with the thermal paste itself, and And perhaps that's why we have our issue, maybe. I don't know. That's my first sort of guess. Unless, as factory, this is meant to come with thermal paste. But I highly, highly doubt it. Causes for concern so far on initial looks is there's quite a few marks on the board in terms of just like finger marks and whatnot. Couple things though. This is now broken, which kind of tells me that maybe the person wasn't too considerate when they were doing this. The thing that I'm most nervous about is this up here, which looks to be corrosion on the back side of the PlayStation 5 Pro. As well as, if you look here, can you see there's like a green tinge on those USB ports? Not the ports themselves, but like the foam, I don't know what this is called, the mesh that sits on the back of the ports. It kind of looks a bit greeny. So again, maybe indicative of, I don't know if indicative is the right word, but potential liquid damage somewhere on the board, when again the listing said that there was no liquid damage. And also, if I look here, look at that. Look here. Can you see that? What's that? Is that liquid? It is. Why is there liquid here on this screw hole? Crazy. All right. I think this is going to be an interesting one. I now need to take the clamp off and see what lies underneath, which I'm really, really, really nervous to do because of the fact that we have the thermal paste. Maybe it might be an easy fix if I can potentially see some leftover spilt liquid metal or something on the board, because that might be causing our beep on beep off. Something nice and simple like that. That would be awesome. And what a profit this would turn out to be. Not for Sally's spreadsheet. Do I have any screws? Yeah, I do have a couple screws in the motherboard as well. Well, there's one there. I'm pretty sure we're meant to have a screw here because there's an arrow pointing to a screw, but the screw isn't in. Maybe that's where that black one goes that they put there. I don't know. Anyway, let's see if I can take this off. How does it feel? It doesn't feel too bad, to be fair. This needs like a little pop. Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. Whoa. Did I not take that bit off? We have liquid metal. This being snapped, I obviously need to kind of sort. It's not a huge issue because we can just put it back like that. I don't know. I'm a little bit confused now. I don't know if it is meant to be thermal paste or not. Maybe it is thermal paste out of factory, and you know, it's something to do with the cooling aspect as to why they use thermal paste, but I don't know. If somebody in the comments could help me, so it's a VSM010, if someone in the comments could help me, you know, out of factory, are they meant to be thermal pasted or not? Right, let me turn it around and see what the other side looks like, because this side is pretty clean, you know, thermal pads rather than the actual paste itself. Can you see that? And we have liquid metal, which is good. I do believe it is some sort of liquid damage. I don't believe it. Can you see down the, look at the ports down there. Can you see the water? That's like not even subtle, you know, that's a lot of water there. I'll have a look at that in a second. I'm just going to divert my attention to the back of the console then. And I wonder if the power supply is going to be okay because of what I'm now seeing, you know. There's definitely something nasty going on there. Look at that grill. Can you see the green stuff? Lord only knows what it is. And then we've got the power supply. So, to me, that kind of looks like it's just on the surface of the power supply. It doesn't look like it's actually gone in from what I can tell. You can't really see it on the camera, but that looks like it's just on the blobs there. If you look at the coil on the inside, you can see that there's no water damage on that. I think it's more so just on the surface. And the fact that we get a beep on with this, I'm going to go ahead and assume that the power supply itself is okay. I've just given it a bit of a clean as well. There we go. Yeah, a lot better. Look, nice. To be honest, the first thing I want to do, because I've visually inspected this board, is go over to the microscope and just inspect this liquid damage that we have down here and see if any of it is conductive or is causing any issues in that regard. So let's do that. Okay, zooming in. How do we look? Yeah, look, we've got some liquido damage down here. I don't know what it is. I have no idea at this stage, but I do know that it is just some sort of liquid. HDMI port itself looks okay, I think, as well. And then if we go over here, which is where I think I saw the bulk of it, yeah, look, what is that? What even is that? I've got no idea. Look. And then this is where we have an issue. It comes down here onto all of these caps. Look. Is that corrosive? You know? Multimeter's in continuity mode, so if we hear a beep, that means that it is corrosive. So for example, if I place both probes on here, we have a continuous path. Let me just place one on ground and one here. No, it's not. Doesn't seem to be corrosive. Look, this all needs a good clean first of all, and then we need to go deeper on in inspection level, and then that's when we can start messing around with voltages and seeing what we get, etc. But I just need to get a toothbrush and a bunch of IPA and get it in all of these areas, crevices. If I look in the ports themselves, how are they? Yeah, look, these pads need to come off because they are just gunky. Same with this one as well. That one doesn't have anything in, but this one does. Right at the back. Okay, so just, again, a very nice clean. And on the back, surprisingly, they're pretty clean, you know? Okay, how are we looking now? Yeah, see, we're looking cleaner, which is good. What about on the actual board? Yeah, in between the caps and whatnot is also a lot cleaner. I tried to get in between all the components as well. There was also some around this circuit, but yeah, that's cleaned up rather nicely. So I think now, again, before I just go ahead and test voltages, I am just going to have a look with my eye and under the scope quickly to see if there's any other areas of contention perhaps, and then we can go ahead and test the voltages, etc., etc., and start looking for something that's actually wrong with this board. I've had a little skim around the board. I can't find anything that jumps out at me, so I'm just going to check for the voltages now. Not a Scooby where the voltages actually are, by the way. The board layout is different. Nonetheless, I shall try and find them. Do we have our 12? Yeah, we got our 12. We've got a couple of fuses down here. What we got here? 5 volts, good. There's a fuse here. 5 volt fuse. Do I get 5 volts the other side? I do. I get 3.3 as well. Okay, so I get 12, 5, 3.3. Interesting. And I don't know where our little 1.8 is going to be, or 2 for that matter, because it doesn't look like it's going to be on this side of the board. I get 12 volts over here as well, so that's our 12 volt rail. So we do have all of our voltages, 3.3. Well, I say all of our voltages, the main ones that I can count so far. So what do I get coming into this chip? I get 3.3. Do I get anything coming out the other side? Let me try and push the power button. Oh wait, I need to plug it in, don't I? Do I get something coming out of this chip here? Interestingly, I now get no power, but assuming that I still get my 12, right? Yeah, I still got my 12, and I've got my 5. Am I missing something here? Before I'm really silly about this, am I missing something that I haven't got plugged in, which is why it's not turning on? I know I've not got the clamp on, but that shouldn't technically matter. Okay, let me try again. Nope. No power. Okay. Which is annoying because my next thing was going to be, yeah, we'll just run you up. But I can't do that now. If we have no power. Oh, is it because I don't have the battery connected to the board? I don't see how that would be a thing. No. And there's definitely nothing else that I'm forgetting, is there? Power button is on this front board, which plugs into here. Interesting. All right. So I've been a little bit of a busy bee. As you can see, I have UART connected, which is, like I said, a way for me to diagnose exactly what's going on with the PS5 if I'm lucky. Sometimes it comes back and it might just say generic power failure or something along those lines. However, we're in luck. This PS5 now does seemingly turn on, which is weird because it didn't before, right? I don't know if I had some sort of a loose connection or maybe this wasn't pushed down to the power supply enough, but I now have my beeps. Using UART, I have been able to diagnose the fact that this states RAM GDDR6 bank 3 single beep 1 second blue light. Shout out field decoder as always for this fantastic information. Bank 3, if I'm not mistaken, is 1, 2, 3 right here. This piece of RAM supposedly is faulty, and it's also got me thinking the liquid damage that we had on the back of the board might have had nothing to do with exactly what's gone on with this PlayStation 5 Pro. It could just be that it was extremely coincidental, and if I go ahead and change out that RAM chip, I don't know if I'm going to face other issues here. One big thing that I keep thinking about is I'm pretty sure the PS5 Pro has better RAM than the standard PS5s, the fat versions and the slim models, which has also got me thinking, okay, do I have this RAM? Can I use RAM from a donor PS5, or do I now have to wait around for a PS5 Pro board to be able to replace the RAM? So that is exactly now what I'm about to scurry off and do a little bit of research with the Discord and other bits and bobs. I'll leave a link to the JDT Discord down below in the description where I'm about to get some help. Okay, so I have an update. Big thanks again to Ben from the Discord. He allegedly helped me out with this, and I'm going to hopefully be able to explain it to you. So this is what our RAM chip looks like. It is Samsung. It says 418 up here. Supposedly this doesn't matter. It's just a date. But this number here, SC, it says SC20. Which supposedly is like the speed of the RAM, right? I can show you another stick just to confirm, but yeah, you can see down here, look, well, I say stick, chip, SC20. That's on the Pro board. Now, if I go on to, this is a digital edition, which is one of the newer boards. The highest that I can see is SC14. So they're all going to be the same here, right there as well, at SC14. This one here, as another example, is a fat PlayStation 5 model, and this is also, you can't actually see, so but just trust me, it says SC14. And this right here is a little graph that Ben has sent me to explain the situation. You can see on the left we've got the HC 18, 16, 14 and 12. That is the SC that we're looking for, right? And as you can see here, I mean, the highest it goes up to is actually 18, and it means 18 gigabytes a second. The data rate, I'm not going to pretend I know exactly what this is, for the pin, I'm assuming for, like, you know, towards the APU or whatever. Basically, we've got a 14, and on the Pro we have a 20, which isn't even shown on this chart, meaning that the RAM that we need is only available on Pro boards as far as we're aware. However, I did go onto AliExpress, again with Ben's help, and I was able to find an SC20 chip. Now, there was used and there was new, and I've bought one of each, and I'll start with the new one, but I obviously just have to put this video on hold now until I get the RAM. So what might be 2 weeks for me is going to be 0.4 seconds for you. The RAM chips I've ordered have arrived. We've got a new one here, and this, I believe, is the one that I'm going to try first. I'm going to try the new RAM stick, and then I've also got a backup, which is a donor. So I'm going to get everything ready. I wonder if this is bald, by the way. I'm going to have to check in a sec. Pay very close attention to this, by the way. Remember what I said? This is SC20 RAM, which is supposedly the speed to the APU. Do you know one thing I don't have right now is flux. Wonder if this thermal paste is causing us issues. Not the thermal paste, sorry, the thermal pad. Here she goes. Cool. Took us a while, but we got it. Leaded solder and some flux now. I'll clear up the thermal stuff in a second. Cool. Nice job. Cotton swab. Board is also still hot here, by the way, which makes it super easy. Can you see how easy this flux is to clean for me? A lot of people say, you know, get the IPA on. Guys, if you just use heat, I promise you, your life will be easier. And that is for both flux and solder. Okay, we've got the new chip here. Oh, wow, look at this. Perfect. Pin uno, top left. Looks it, hey? Wow, look at that. Perfect. Warm that board up a little bit again, because that heat has now been sucked from the board, you see. I'm also going to lower the temperature here. I don't know what solder they've used on the chip. That's the only thing. I would go ahead and assume that it's going to be leaded. We've cleaned that up very nicely. You can see that all of the pads there look really nicely intact. So we're coming with the heat now. We've got a nice clean work area, right? Now I'm going to put the heat down to 460. Still at 99. I'm going to come in with a drop of flux there and there. And I'm just going to spread that flux now over all of that. And I'm going to place our chip on as best in line as I possibly can, which is about there. I'm going to come off, and now I'm going to solder it with a hot air gun. 460 degrees Celsius. Pin 1 is signified by the dot in the top left. Can you see that? And then we've got an arrow corresponding with that on the motherboard. I'm waiting to see some movement. That's what I'm waiting for here. I have to be very, very careful. Very careful. I've not seen it move yet. I don't know if it's moved. I'm going to give this a nudge. I have to, because I don't know if it's soldered underneath. Usually we can tell, but this is, unless I've put this on like smack bang exactly where it needs to go, which is very rare. It can happen, but it's very rare. I'm going to need to give this a little nudge here. Yeah, maybe we did just get the perfect alignment. I will just test that theory though. Well, it's not moving, so it's definitely soldered. Wow, I think it was just really well soldered, I think. Yeah, I think we're okay, because it's just moved there and went back into place. So I think that's all right. RAM has been the bane of my life recently on a few fixes, to say the least. Now I'm going to check the soldering underneath to make sure that those balls are at least connected to the pads. Looks fine. Yep, looks factory. Look at the one to the right. Look at this one. Looks factory. In a good way. Factory in the good sense. Cool, okay. I have actually tested this, by the way. I'm just going to say, on the live stream without letting people know what the result of it was. So I know what happened, or has happened, since I replaced the RAM, and I'm about to show you. The first thing was that I got no power, and I was like, what? Then I just started pressing on the board, and eventually I got it. Is he going to do the same now? No, okay, so it actually powers on now. But it doesn't power on, it beeps on, beeps off again. So that would tell me, it would give me an indication that this RAM stick is either faulty or wasn't soldered on properly by myself, or it's something else now that that's been fixed. So I get the beep and then I get nothing. And then it'll beep again, go blue light, and then it'll just rinse and repeat that particular process. I'm going to hook up you up to this board and see if we get a different error code or the same one to indicate RAM number 3. All right, you ready for this? This is what we get as an error code. Search the database 80801204. No results found. Nothing. Guessing some sort of new code with the PS5 Pro or something along those lines. The good news is that the RAM error has disappeared. Does that mean it's been installed correctly? Absolutely not. And I am thinking about putting the other RAM chip on, but I mean, if we're not getting the same error code, what are the chances it's going to be that RAM chip? I think pretty slim. So the fact that I've replaced that and it's coming back, you know, with a different code now, I think there's also something else wrong with this board. Because we don't have the codes though, that's pretty much impossible to know. As well as the fact that I've already gone around with my multimeter to see if there's any shorted components or strange, not very common diode readings, and I can't find them anywhere. So I've stuck the question in the Discord. I shall speak to some people, see if they've got some new codes anywhere, using my resources where I best can do so, and hopefully I'll get back to you soon in regards of what to do. I might just give it a quick reflow to see if that makes a difference before I do the other bits. Here we go, quick reflow. I guess I've decided to go with that just quickly. I actually don't think that was soldered correctly, you know. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Yeah, because that looks different now. The position of that looks different. So I actually think it wasn't soldered correctly. I really hope that is the case. Let's see how this does. Maybe they use some sort of, I don't know, titanium as soldables on the new RAM chip, because that took a lot longer than what it should have taken to actually just reflow. I don't think that was leaded. Imagine that all this needed was a reflow. I'll be one happy bunny. Any difference in behavior? Plugged in. Are we going to be able to wrap this one up? Let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Oh, yes. Let's go. Wait. White light. Hold it. HDMI. Are we going to get 3 beeps? I'm assuming so, because it's just had the brains ripped out and put back in. Or is it going to go to safe mode? I get a display, HDMI 1. I don't know what it is yet. Can't start your PS5. Let's go. We're in safe mode. I'm just turning it off. Now, I'm not like... I don't know if it's working. I have no idea. I'm going to have to reinstall the PS5 software on this, because in the description it stated that it went to safe mode. They tried to install and it wasn't working. I'm going to have to put this partially back together enough for the fan is going to be able to cool the console enough so that it stays on without overheating. And I've now got to put some PS5 software on here to see if I can get this PS5 up and running. And if I can, wow, I'll be super happy. I'm then going to have to play a couple of games to make sure the RAM chip is going to be okay. And yeah, but I don't think that's the end of this one. Just yet, anyway. Let me put it back together. This is a step in the right direction, though. Also, now that I know I'm getting somewhere, I will just quickly not replace, but just rearrange the liquid metal just to make sure we're going to be all good. Get it nice and bonded. Okay, I've gone pretty full back together here. I still haven't got the USB plugged in just yet, or the SSD drive, whatever it is I'm going to choose to use. Nonetheless, we are on our way. All right, so the SSD has been plugged into the back. This is the cable here plugged into USB-A, and then right at the front here is where we've got the PS5. Obviously, we turn it on. Hopefully, just go to a white light, then beep on, beep off. Perfect. Now I changed the fans are ramping up, which is nice. This should go to safe mode. Controller's being plugged in. Hit the button. There we go. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's what we have. I'm just being silly. Press OK. Come on. You can find it and you can apply it. How far is this going to go through? I hope all the way. I'll update you in 2 seconds. And we have next screen that seems to be flying through. Jabbly. And it's turned itself off. We've got HDMI lock. It's probably applying the update, I imagine now. Yeah, installing, sorry. And she's restart again. Come on, HDMI lock. Show me something good. Okay. Needs to be reset to factory defaults. What's it going to do now? Turn off. I've just pressed OK on the controller. Could potentially be because it had some sort of memory issue before. I now need to restore the defaults, clear the cache, all that good stuff. But I thought reinstalling would do all of that. And reinstalling was like top tier Control Alt Delete. You know what I mean? I did turn off and it's now come back onto a white light. What are we greeted with now? Yeah, okay, safe mode. Reset. It's just got the reinstall again. Okay, I'll try it again and see what happens. I really hope this isn't like a faulty SSD controller or something along those lines. This might be the original issue that they were having, and then it's since developed the RAM issue off the back of it, you know? I'll try this again. We'll see what happens. All right, well, we've gone back to a white light by the looks of it. Do we get anything on the screen, or is it safe mode? Oh, I don't Adam and Eve it. Sometimes these things do take like a couple of reinstalls. I've noticed that with some other PS5s as well. Wait there. We've got the background and everything as well. Turn that off. And there we have it. We are in. I don't believe I'm connected to the internet as well. So that's all good. I'm just going to quickly connect it up to the PSN, download a game, give that a spin and confirm in a second. Now, this right here is going to sound absolutely ridiculous, okay? Navigating around the menu and everything on this console is seamless. Now, it's the Pro variant, of course, but it's so smooth, it's disgusting. Compared to a PS5, I've done this to obviously hundreds of PS5s, never on a PS5 Pro, and just navigating the menu itself, it's really, really, really smooth. To the point where you just like, everything loads super quick. Unfortunately, I don't have a disk drive for this to test, so it's just going to have to be something like Fortnite, I guess. Diably. I think as well, we can safely call that code the Joey code, aka Joey messed up, because clearly it hadn't been recognized and I just really messed up the RAM install. I've said it once, I'll say it again. This, for whatever reason, is super smooth. Now, I'm going to save you console version of the Fortnite gameplay. I'm not going to do that. But I think most likely what I'm going to do with this is actually keep it and just give it a good run in. Geezer dressed as a chicken. And don't forget as well, this is also on a capture device. I mean, I've had it before where like you can't even get into a game on PS5s that have bad RAM or memory issues or something along those lines. So the fact I'm in a game of Fortnite speaks volumes. Show your face. Good night. All right. Whoa! There was a geezer around here somewhere. It's definitely a bot. Well, honestly, I'm going to leave it there because I haven't died. So, but I think the console's good. Like I said, I'll keep hold of it for a couple of weeks, give it a few more tests. But we've been able to bring back to life the first ever PS5 Pro that I've worked on. This is going to be one for the history books, that's for sure. Thanks for hanging around. If you did enjoy it, I'll put another video up here somewhere, which is fairly similar to the fixing that I do in this video. Have a good one, and as always, I shall see you in the next one. Goodbye and potato.